Okay, we're going to be talking about how to graph equations. I'm going to give it to you guys in two different methods. Questions 5 and 6, we call that the slope-intercept form. Notice how I have the y by itself. Questions 7 and 8, we call that standard form. Notice how x and y are both on the left side. So you're going to be dealing with both cases. So let me deal with the slope-intercept form. Now, the slope-intercept form, we usually call this y is equal to mx plus b. Now the m, the number with the x, that's gonna be our slope. It's usually a fraction. So you guys see a number in front of the x, usually a fraction. That's gonna be our slope. And then the plus b, right, with the sign included, we're gonna call this the y-intercept. So where do I cross the y-axis? The first number that we see, the one in front of the x, is the slope. The second number we see is the y-intercept. So that's what we call this slope-intercept form. Now, some of you might be wondering, why m for slope, right? Why did I not use the s for slope? The thing is that the slope is going to tell me how to move. So I'm going to use m for moving, right? I'm going to use the slope to be able to move along the line. And then my b with my sign included, my y-intercept, it is going to tell me where to begin. So I'm going to begin drawing this at the y-intercept. So the slope, we're using the m for moving, and the b for the y-intercept, we're using the b for beginning. So let's take a look at question number 5. I'm going to say my b, my y-intercept, is -5. You guys can see it here, right, with the sign included. So on the y-axis, let me just plot in -5. So my graph, the line that I'm going to graph, it is going to go through -5. Now my slope, the number in front of the x, it's 5. I do need it as a fraction. If it is not a fraction, make it a fraction. I'm going to put a 1 underneath. I need it as a fraction. Rise over run. Now, this thing says go up 5 and 1 to the right. So from the point that we have, so I'm talking about this point, let me go up 5 and 1 to the right. I can count my spaces. That's going to give me that point, right? I went up 5 over 1. I can do it again if I need to. Let me go up 5 over 1. I can do it as many times. Now, I see those points. Let me connect them with a line. And there's my line. There's my line, 5x minus 5. Now, some of you guys might be wondering, well, what's so important about that line? What does that line mean? Any point on the line makes the statement true. As an example, one of my points is the coordinates 2, 5. You guys can see that. One of my points is it has a coordinates 2, 5. So x equals 2, y equals 5. And if I rewrite my equation, instead of an x, I write a 2. Instead of a y, I write a 5. I'm gonna get a true statement. Okay, so what do I mean with that? I have 5, it's equal to 5 times 2 minus 5. Let me do the 5 times 2, so I have that 5, it's equal to 10 minus 5. Now, is 5 equal to 10 minus 5? Yeah, that gives me a true statement. Like I said, any point on the line will give me a true statement. Okay? Any point. Now, any point that is not on the line will give me a false statement. Now, a false statement is something like 1 plus 1 equals 5. Right? That's a false statement. Any point on the line will give me a true statement. All right, let's take a look at question number 6. So I'm gonna say my y-intercept is 5. All right, so on the y-axis, I'm gonna write a 5. Boom, there you go, it's easy. My slope is the number in front of the x, so it's 3/2. Right, I need it as a fraction, so it's good. I have it as a fraction. Now, according to the rules, this thing says go up 3, 2 to the right. From the point that I have, I cannot go up 3. Another thing that let me mention before I move on, another thing that I mentioned is if there is a negative sign in front of my fraction, so if there's a negative sign in front of my fraction, give it to the top or the bottom, not both, just the top or the bottom. Okay, but in this case, I don't have negative signs, but I cannot go up 3, right? From the point, I cannot count 3. I'm going to go outside of the picture. Now, if that happens, if my instructions get me outside of the picture, change the sign on both numbers. So let me write this as a -3 and a -2. So change the sign on both numbers. So if it's positive, make it into negative. If it's negative, make it into positive. So now my slope says go down 3 and 2 to the left. So from the point that I have, let me go down 3 and 2 to the left. I can do it again. Let me go down 3, 2 to the left. Let me go down 3, 2 to the left. So I have a very good idea how this line looks like. Let me draw a point that goes to the line. Let me draw a line that goes through the point, Okay, so having it in slope-intercept form, it's easy, right? The last number is my y-intercept. The number in front of the x is my slope. It's easy. Now, for question number 7 and 8, I'm going to give it to you guys in standard form. Now, standard form, what it does, it gives me 2 points and the slope. So I'm going to get more information. Let me zoom out. Questions 5 and 6, when it's given in slope-intercept form, I have only 1 point and a slope. That's all I get. In standard form, you get 2 points and a slope. In reality, as long as you have 2 points, you can draw your line. Or if you have 1 point and a slope, you can draw your line. So my first point, I'm going to call this my x-intercept. Okay, so I'm looking at my equation here. And I'm going to say I'm going to solve for x when y is equal to 0. So what I'm going to do is let me copy my equation without the y. I'm solving x, so I don't have the y term. So let me write this as 8x. It's equal to 5. If I divide both sides by 8, I get that x is equal to 5/8. So that gives me the point 5/8 and 0. Remember I said y is equal to 0. I said I was going to get 2 points. I never said the points were going to be nice. One of them will be nice, not the other one. Sometimes they're both nice, but not always, okay? So we do have a point. My other point, let me use blue for my other point. We're going to use the y-intercept. So having my equation, let me highlight the equation again. Let me copy all that without the x term. So I'm going to write this as -y. It's equal to 5. Notice how I don't copy the x term because I'm solving for y. So -y is equal to 5. Let me change the signs. Technically, I can do that if I multiplied everything by -1. I'm just going to change the sign so I get that y is equal to -5. So that gives me the point 0, -5. So I have 2 points. And so one of them is not nice, not easy to write. But if it was easy, like if I could see the coordinates, well, just plug them in, right? You have your 2 points, you have 2 points, draw a line that goes through the 2 points, you're good to go. Now, let me solve for the slope. Okay, the slope, let me write this as a m. I'm going to write m for slope, because it tells me how to move. Let me write this as a negative x over y. Okay. So what I'm going to use, I'm going to use this thing we call coefficient, which is the number in front of the letters. The one number in front of x, I'm just going to switch the sign. But I'm going to leave the number in front of y. So my slope, let me write this as a negative 8 over negative 1. Notice I switched the sign on the number in front of x. I wrote it as a negative 8. Notice how the number in front of y, I left it alone. Technically, it's a negative 1. So my slope is negative 8, negative 1. Now, let me cross this point because I'm not going to graph that. It's not too nice to write. I can do the blue point, 0, negative 5. I can do the y-intercept. I know I cross my line here. According to my slope, it says go down 8 and 1 to the left. But remember I said if the instructions get us outside of the picture, let me just change the signs on my slope, both signs. So let me change this to positive 8 over positive 1. That means that I'm going to go up 8 and 1 to the right. So from the point that I have, let me go up 8, 1 to the right. That gives me that point. Now that I have 2 points, I can draw a line that goes through my points. And there you go. All right, let me figure out the x-intercept on number 8. My x-intercept. So I'm going to copy my equation without the y term. I'm solving for x. So I have 4x is equal to 3. If I divide both sides by 4, I get that x is equal to 3/4. So that gives me the point 3/4 is 0. Not so nice. Okay. Let me do the y-intercept. The y-intercept, I'm going to copy that equation without the x term. So let me just write this as negative y is equal to 3. I want y by itself, so let me change the signs of everything. That gives me that y is equal to negative 3. So that gives me the point 0, negative 3. I can do that one. It's right there. The other point we're going to say that I might kind of guess is somewhere about right there. But I'm guessing, so let me erase that. We cannot guess. It's not good to guess. Now, instead, for the slope, I know the formula for the slope, negative x over y. So negative 4 over negative 1. Now, from that point, I cannot go down 4. So I know that if my directions get me outside of the picture, I change the sign. So let me write this as positive 4 over positive 1. So from the point that I have, let me go up 4 and 1 to the right. And then I'm just going to connect a line that goes through those. It's about there. Let me point out a point. That's that one. You guys see? Okay. So again, the way I want you guys to practice for your homework today, I'm going to give you guys slope-intercept form, questions 5 and 6, but I'm also going to give you guys standard form, like questions 7 and 8.